Ethan Cole wasn't looking for answers the day he opened his late grandfather's forgotten storage trunk. He was just trying to clean out the past, maybe medals, old letters, forgotten memories. But at the bottom was a single photograph, dated 1983, showing his grandfather standing beside a powerful waterfall with something strange half buried in the ground behind him. Something that looked like a wooden crate, and a warning scribbled on the back. Ethan frowned, flipping the photo over. His breath caught. In his grandfather's unmistakable handwriting were 6 haunting words. If anything happens to me, follow the waterfall. Ethan felt a chill. His grandfather had disappeared mysteriously 40 years ago. His grandfather vanished the same year. No explanation. No trace. No one ever found answers. Only rumors and silence. But Ethan wasn't alone. His loyal K9 Ranger stared at the photo and then at the door as if sensing a journey. Hours later, Ethan and Ranger were standing at the edge of the same waterfall from the photograph. But something was wrong. Fresh footprints. Broken branches, a glint of metal buried in the mud. Ranger growled, stepping toward the water's spray, refusing to turn back. Ethan swallowed hard. Whatever happened 40 years ago was waiting for them beneath the roar of the falls, unaware that beneath its roar lay a secret meant to stay buried forever. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Ethan Cole never expected his quiet mornings to change. After retiring from the military, life had shrunk into a simple routine: black coffee at dawn, long hikes with his K9 partner Ranger, and evenings spent fixing things around the cabin his grandfather once owned. It was peaceful, but empty in ways Ethan never spoke about. One cold morning, while cleaning out old storage boxes, he found something that didn't belong among the dusty tools and faded uniforms. A small wooden box with his grandfather's initials burned into the lid. Ethan hesitated before opening it, a strange heaviness pressing against his chest. Inside lay a single, yellowed photograph dated 1983. His grandfather stood at the edge of a massive waterfall, the exact same cliffs Ethan had visited as a child. But it wasn't the scenery that froze him. It was the mysterious half-buried wooden crate behind his grandfather. On the back of the photo, written in shaky ink, was a message: "If anything happens to me, follow the waterfall." Ethan felt the world tilt. His grandfather had vanished without explanation 40 years ago. No search team found him. No answers ever surfaced. Ranger nudged Ethan's leg gently, sensing his shift in mood. Ethan stared at the photo one more time. Whatever happened in 1983, the time to uncover it had finally come. The next morning, Ethan stood at the trailhead with Ranger at his side, the old photograph tucked safely inside his jacket. The air was crisp, pine-scented, and eerily still, like the forest itself was waiting for something. Ranger's ears were perked, tail stiff, every sense awake. He wasn't just excited, he was alert. Ethan tightened his backpack straps. "Come on, boy. Let's see what Grandpa wanted us to find." They hiked for hours through winding trails, crossing fallen logs and climbing rocky slopes. The deeper they ventured, the more the landscape shifted. Moss-covered cliffs towered above them, and distant water roared like a heartbeat buried in stone. Finally, they reached it. The waterfall, the one from the photo, unchanged by 40 years. Water plunged into a deep emerald pool, mist rising like breath from the earth. Ethan studied the photograph again, comparing angles, shadows, the shape of the cliff face. Ranger suddenly let out a low growl. He moved toward the right side of the waterfall, toward a narrow patch of ground that looked freshly disturbed. Despite the forest's untouched appearance, Ethan's heart kicked in his chest. "Easy, Ranger. What do you smell?" Ranger pawed the ground, nose digging deeper, urgency in every movement. Someone had been here, recently, and they didn't want whatever lay beneath to be found. Ranger's paws scraped relentlessly at the soil beside the waterfall, flinging dirt and wet moss into the air. Ethan dropped to his knees beside him, brushing away loose earth. The ground felt softer here, recently moved, as if someone had buried something and hoped time would hide it. Then Ethan's fingers hit metal, cold, solid, buried deep. Ranger whimpered, tail stiffening. Ethan dug faster, heart pounding. until the outline of a small rusted metal box emerged from the mud. It was military issued. Ethan recognized the design instantly. Stamped into the lid were 3 worn letters, H.C., his grandfather's initials. Ethan sat back, breath catching. This was no coincidence. This box had been hidden intentionally, not lost. With careful hands, he pried the rusted lock open. Inside, wrapped in layers of oilcloth, were items untouched by time. A folded map marked with red X's, a compass, and a bundle of handwritten notes tied together with twine. But one note caught his eye, a page torn from a notebook. His grandfather's handwriting scrawled across it. "They're watching the falls. Don't trust anyone. If I don't return, the truth is in the cave behind the water." Ethan's blood ran cold. A cave? Behind the waterfall? He looked up at the roaring wall of water, the mist twisting like a warning. Ranger inched closer to him, ears pinned back. The waterfall wasn't just a landmark. It was an entrance, and someone had gone to great lengths to keep that entrance hidden. Ethan sat on a flat rock, the waterfall's thunder rumbling behind him as he spread the notes across his lap. Ranger sat close, eyes shifting between the forest and Ethan, guarding him like a seasoned soldier. The handwriting was unmistakably his grandfather's, sharp, deliberate, shaped by years of discipline. But the words carried fear Ethan had never imagined him capable of. One letter read, "I uncovered something I was never meant to find. They're moving shipments through the forest. Weapons, money, people. I followed the tracks to the waterfall. The cave is their hideout." Ethan's stomach tightened. The next page was more desperate. "If you find this, it means they silenced me. Protect the evidence. Don't let them bury the truth." Ethan stared at the ink smudges, marks that could have been from rain, or from the moment his grandfather realized he wouldn't return home. Ranger suddenly snapped his head toward the trees, ears rising sharply. His muscles tensed. Someone was watching them. Ethan folded the documents quickly and stuffed them into his pack. The forest felt different now, heavier. Like the secrets from 1983 were still alive, still guarded. That he glanced at the waterfall. Mist curled upward like ghostly fingers, hiding whatever lay behind it. Ranger growled, stepping in front of Ethan. "You feel it too, boy?" Ethan tightened the straps on his backpack. If the cave held the answers to his grandfather's disappearance, then the danger from 40 years ago had not died. It had just been waiting. He stepped toward the waterfall, nose low, ears locked forward, tail straight as a spear. Ethan followed carefully, boots slipping on wet stones. Behind the crashing curtain of water, Ranger barked once, sharp, commanding, before disappearing through the mist. Ethan's pulse kicked. "Ranger!" He pushed through the waterfall, water soaking his clothes instantly. On the other side, he found a narrow rocky ledge leading into a hidden cave. Ranger stood at the entrance, hackles raised, staring into the darkness. Ethan flicked on his flashlight. A beam of white sliced through the cave, illuminating tire tracks, muddy boot prints, and discarded ropes. Someone had been here, recently. Then he saw a broken lantern, half crushed, lying beside a wooden crate identical to the one in his grandfather's old photograph. Ethan knelt, brushing dirt from the crate. The lid had been pried open. Inside were sealed envelopes, dozens of them, each stamped with government seals, dates from the early 80s, and one chilling word, classified. Ranger growled deeper, stepping backward as if warning Ethan. A cold realization hit him. His grandfather hadn't stumbled onto criminals. He had uncovered something much bigger, and someone had come back to hide the truth again. Ethan gathered every classified envelope, tucking them carefully into his pack as the weight of 40 years pressed on his shoulders. The cave felt colder now, as if the secrets inside had been waiting for him, waiting for someone who wouldn't run. "Come on, Ranger," Ethan whispered. They stepped back through the waterfall, drenched and shivering, but determined. The moment they reached the clearing, Ranger barked sharply, warning Ethan of movement on the ridge above. A shadow darted behind the trees. Someone was still watching. Ethan didn't hesitate. He hiked down the mountain with Ranger guarding each step, refusing to let the past swallow them like it had his grandfather. By nightfall, they reached the sheriff's office. When the authorities opened the envelopes, the entire room fell silent. Inside were records of illegal operations, hidden money trails, and names that had been protected for decades. Ethan's grandfather had uncovered everything and paid the price. The sheriff placed a firm hand on Ethan's shoulder. Your grandfather was a hero. And because of you and that dog, it won't stay buried anymore. That evening, Ethan and Ranger returned to the cabin. For the first time since finding the photo, Ethan felt peace. Ranger curled beside him, tail thumping softly. Together, they had finally brought the truth home.